Hey everyone, today I'll be going through all the basic crochet stitches a beginner should know. So I'll be going through single crochet, half double crochet, and triple crochet. But first let's start the materials that you're going to need. You're going to need any type of yarn. I would recommend, for a beginner, I'd recommend a weight 4, medium weight, or worsted weight yarn. And make sure it's a light color yarn. And then you're going to need any hook that corresponds with the yarn that you're going to be using. So I'll be using a 5mm crochet hook, and then also this is I think it's the Comfort Heather Gray yarn from Red Heart brand, but you gotta, like I said before, you whatever yarn you have. And then also you're gonna need a few stitch markers, a couple. I have 2, and that's, you don't need them, but it's just helpful to have to mark your stitches and make sure that your stitches are the right count. So first we're gonna start with the slip knot, and I'll be showing you guys 2 ways to do that. So the first way, you're going to want to have the yarn tail in your left hand, and then you're working yarn in your right hand. And you just want to push your fingers together until it forms a loop in the yarn like this. Or let me do that again. Until it forms a loop in the yarn like this. Okay? So there you have your loop, and you want to hold onto it so it doesn't unravel. And you want to put this working yarn underneath the loop so it looks like this. And you want to put your 2 fingers in there, grab that yarn, and pull down on this strand, and the yarn tail in your left hand, and pull on this loop at the same time. So now you have a knot and a big loop. So then you're gonna put your hook in that loop, tying it around your hook, or put your hook in the loop and tying it around your hook, and then now you have your slip knot. That's the first way. Second way is another easy way. You're gonna have both yarn tails in your hand. Both parts of the yarn in your hand, and you're gonna want to put your pinky finger through this yarn, through the loop, and then put 2 fingers in here, preferably your thumb and your pointer finger. You want to twist your left hand down so your palm is not facing down. Grab this working yarn that's on top of your index finger, pull it through that loop, and now you have a slip knot. And again, tying that around your hook, and now, wrong way. And now we can start chaining. So chaining's another easy thing to do. Once you learn it, you can get better at it and faster. And also, this is how I hold my crochet hook. I have a knife grip, so I just hold it like that. And then I hold my yarn like this. I wrap it around my pinky finger either once or twice, and after I pull it onto my palm, and after I wrap around the back of my index finger, and I hold my project with my middle finger and my thumb in my left hand. And now we can start. So to do a chain, you're going to want to yarn over. You want to put the yarn over your hook, and then you want to pull this that you just created with that yarn over you just did, and pull it through that pre-existing slip knot we created. So now you have 1 chain, and this is how 1 chain looks. And now you're going to do that again. Yarn over, pull the yarn over the hook, and pull this yarn over loop that you just created over the pre-existing loop on your hook. And now you have 2 chains. So just continue doing that until you get your desired amount of chains. I'll be going up to 8. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So now you have your chain. And now we're going to do chain 1 extra, and this is because, so once you get your desired amount, you're going to want to chain 1 extra. And this is just because we need turning chain. So, because this chain I just did is called a turning chain, and we don't work into it for single crochets because it's just used to add height to your row, so each of your rows are the same length. So you just do it at the end of every row that you do. So now that you've done all your chains plus your turning chain, which is this one, you want to go into the chain closest to your hook. Also, I say there's 3 different parts of this chain here. So as you can see, there's this top loop, which is this right here, and then there's also the bottom loop, which is this one, not in the middle, so right here. And there's also the back loop, which you would see is this thing right here, but you can't go into it like that. Okay, you have to flip your work over, and then there you would have the back loop or the back bumps. But you can go into either the top for chain, like going into chain, you can either go to the top loop or these back bumps. But for today, I'll be going into the top loops. So to start your single crochet now, you want to skip the first stitch, the first chain that's closest to your hook, because actually we're like a turning chain, and we don't work into it for single crochets. So you want to go into the second stitch, the second chain closest to your hook, this one. Go through the top loop, like that. And then you want to yarn over and pull this yarn through the first loop, and that's called pulling up a loop. So and then you're going to want to yarn over, pull through both loops, so 1, 2, both loops on your hook, and now you've created your first single crochet. And just so we know what stitch the last stitch you have to go into the first second row, we're going to put a stitch marker onto this first single crochet we made, okay? And this is just going to help us later on. So now you're going to go into the second stitch, which would be this one. Go into the second stitch, the top loop, yarn over, pull up a loop, which is just pulling the yarn through the first loop on the hook, yarn over again, and pull through 1, 2, both loops on your hook. That's your second single crochet. Go into the next stitch, the top loop, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2 loops, and just continue this down your chain, and I'll come back when I have one more. So I'm coming up on my last chain. It'll look like this. Sometimes it is a bit smaller and tighter than the other chains, but just like I said, go into the top chain, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2 loops, and now we have our first row done. And now to start a new row, we're going to chain 1, which I said again, which is going to be our turning chain that we're not going to work into. So now you see that we have these V's on top of our row in our next row, so these are going to be the things that we go into. So we want to skip this loop because it is just our turning chain, and want to go into the first stitch in a row, and you want to go into the V, pull the second stitch from your hook, go into the V, make sure you pick up both sides, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, okay? And now you made your first stitch in your second row. And like before, we're going to add, at the beginning of each row, we're going to put a stitch marker. So we're going to put that stitch marker right here. Okay, oh, I didn't get through both of these. And we're going to continue doing that down this row. Go into the next stitch, make sure you get both sides of the V. Okay, so it looks like this. Yarn over, yarn over, pull up a loop through both of those sides of the V's. Now you have 2 loops on your hook, and yarn over and pull through those 2 loops. And just continue that, oh my god, down your row. And I'll come back when we're on the last row, on the last stitch in the row. So I'm coming up on the last stitch in the row. As you can see, there's a stitch marker on it. And I just have another tip for you guys. So to make sure you guys are getting straight edges and that you guys are having the same amount of stitches in each row, just make sure to count them. But also, the stitch markers that we placed here will help us keep track of the stitches. So because I have one more stitch to do, I should already have 7 stitches done for this row. And I know that I will have 7 stitches done for this I already have 7 stitches done for this row, because in the beginning I chained 8 plus 1, so it's 9 chains, but the 9th one doesn't count, so I should have 8 stitches in each row. But because I have 1 more stitch to do, I should have 7 stitches. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And don't count the loop that's on your hook as a stitch or a chain if you're chaining. So now we're going to do my 8th one. So we're going to go into this loop, one that's stitch markered, and this is why I set the stitch mark the first loop of every row, because now you know that this is the last stitch you have to go into for the next row. So into both sides of the V, maybe take off the stitch marker first, but I don't know why I didn't do that, but yeah. So go into both sides of the V, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through both loops, and again chain 1 to as you're turning chain for your next row. And just going to do the same thing down. You want to go into the second chain from your hook, the second stitch from your hook. So skip the turning chain, go into the next stitch, pull up both sides of the V, go through both sides of the V, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2 loops, take the stitch marker out from the previous row or from the other row, and then put stitch marker through that new stitch you just did. And now you're just going to want to continue doing that until you reach your desired length, or if you're just doing swatches, then until you get a square or your right gauge. And I'll come back when I've done 6 rows of single crochet just to show you what it'll look like. So I've completed my 6 rows, and this is what it looks like. As you can see, the edges are straight, and I use my stitch markers and make sure I'm counting the stitch in every row to make sure that the edges stay nice and straight and even. So that's how you do a single crochet. And next we're going to be moving on to half double crochet. So again, I just have my chain of 8, but as you guys did for single crochet, just chain however long you want. After the turning chain, we're going to want to chain 1. Okay, so single crochet has a turning chain of 1. Half double crochet can have a turning chain of 2 or 1, but today I'll be doing 1 because I prefer to do 1 turning chain for half double crochets. So now we have 9 chains, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and we're going to want to start doing your half double crochet row. First one, so we have this short turning chain, and we're going to work into this stitch, the second stitch from the hook first. You want to yarn over. So for the half double crochet, you want to yarn over before you go into any of the stitches. So yarn over first. Now you have 2 loops on your hook, 1, 2. Go into the top loop of the second stitch from your hook. Yarn over again, so now you have 4 stitches on your hook, 1, 2, 3, 4. Pull the yarn through just the first loop on your hook. Okay, do just this loop. Now you have 3 stitches on your hook, 1, 2, 3, and you want to yarn over, and you're going to pull this yarn through all 3 of the stitches, just like this. Okay, so now you completed your first half double crochet. And again, we're going to utilize the stitch markers, put stitch marker in this first half double crochet that we did, and now we're going to do our second one. So we're going to yarn over first, that's important. Going through the second stitch now that we're going to do. Yarn over, 1, 2, 3. You want to pull this loop through the first, you want to pull this yarn through the first loop, pull up a loop, yarn over again, and pull through all 3 loops on your hook. That's your second half double crochet. Now we're going to do our third one. Yarn over, go into the stitch, or go into the chain, sorry. Yarn over again, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through all 3 loops. And you just want to continue this down your chain until, and I'll show you guys when I'm about to go into my last chain. So I'm coming up on my last chain now. I'm going to yarn over, like always for half double crochet. Go into the stitch, yarn over again, pull up a loop, yarn over one more time, and pull through all 3 loops. And now we finish our first half double crochet row. And we're going to chain 1 for a turning chain for our next row. Skip this chain right here and go into the second loop on your hook, but remember to yarn over first. Go through these top beads, make sure you get both sides. Yarn over again, pull up a loop through those beads. Yarn over, pull through all 3 loops, and that is our first half double crochet in the second row. And again, we're going to use the stitch markers. So, sorry, I cut the camera. And you just want to put a stitch marker on that first half double crochet of the row, and we're going to continue doing half double crochets throughout the whole row. So I'm just going to that one more time. Yarn over, go into the bead, the next stitch. Make sure you get both sides of the bead. So 1, 2. Yarn over again. Pull up loop through those beads. Yarn over, pull through all 3. And you just want to continue doing this throughout the rest of your row. And I'll come back when I'm about to do my last stitch in the row. So I'm coming up in the last stitch in the row. I have the stitch marker on it, so I know it's the last stitch I have to do for this row. You want to yarn, and I also counted this to make sure that there's 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yarn over, go into the stitch, go to the top of the stitch, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through all 3 loops. Now you've done your second row of half double crochets. You can see it's nice and straight. And we're going to yarn over again to start our new row. Turn our work. I don't think I should turn your work for the whole entire video, but remember to turn your work. And you're just going to continue doing that pattern for half double crochets throughout the rest of your project. And I will come back when I have done 6 rows of half double crochet. So I've completed my 6 rows of half double crochet, and this is what it looks like. As you can see, it's nice and straight. It's just like the single crochet, and it is a bit bigger, or a bit higher than in height than the single crochet. But I would say this is probably one of my favorite crochet stitches, because it doesn't have too many holes like the double or triple crochet, but it also works up pretty fast if you're doing like a bigger project in comparison to single crochet. But now we're going to move on to our next stitch, which is double crochet. And again, I'm starting with a chain of 8, but for the double crochet we're actually going to do 2 extra stitches for double crochet for turning. So now we're going to have 10 stitches in total, but the last 2 are going to be turning chains that we're not going to work into. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay? So now we have 10 stitches all together, and I'm going to start our double crochet. So just like the half double crochet, we're going to yarn first before we go into any stitches. So skip the first 2 stitches and work into the third one. So 1, 2, 3. Work into it, go into it, yarn over again, pull up a loop, yarn over again, and pull through just the first 2 loops. So ignore this third loop right here for a second. So then I'm going to go through the first 2 loops. Now you have 2 loops on your hook, and you're going to yarn over one more time and go through both loops on your hook. And now you've created your first double crochet. And for this way that I'm showing you guys how to do double crochets, the chain 2 or the turning chain, whatever you want to call them, do not count as a stitch, so we're not going to be working into them. Or we're not going to... I'll show you guys later what I mean by it doesn't count as a stitch. But for the half double crochet and the double crochet, the 1 extra turning chain did not count as a stitch, and also for the double crochet, it does not count as a stitch. So we're going to do the same thing we did before for the working into the first stitch still of the row. But anyways, now we're going to go back to working into the chain. So we did our first double crochet. We're going to yarn over again and go into our next stitch, our next chain right here. Yarn over, pull up a loop, Yarn over, pull through 2 loops, only 2 loops. Ignore the third one for that second. Yarn over and pull through the last 2 loops, okay? And we're gonna do that one more. I'm gonna show you guys that one more time. Yarn over, go through the stitch, yarn over and pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2 loops, yarn over, pull through the last 2 loops, okay? So now you have 3 double crochets, and you're gonna continue that down your chain, and I'll come back when I'm on my last one. So I'm coming up on my last chain, but before I do that, I just want to say something. As you guys probably realized, the setting now is quite different, and that's just because I lost recordings for some of the double crochet part, so I'm just gonna record it now, but everything's the same, and it will go back to the normal setting or the normal clips once I get to the 6th row of my double crochets. So let's just continue. So I'm gonna yarn over, go into the last chain, the top loop, I'm gonna pull a loop, yarn over, pull through 2 loops, and then yarn over, pull through the last 2 loops. And then now this is how 1 row of double crochet looks. And we just want to chain up 2, 1, 2, turn our work, yarn over again, and we're gonna go into this first stitch here that we just chained up 2 from. So 1, these are the 2 chains, and this is the first stitch. So we want to go into there, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2 loops, and then yarn over, pull through the last loops. And we're gonna put a stitch marker here to just help us for when we're on our 3rd row of double crochets. And now we're gonna yarn over again, go into the next stitch, both sides of the V, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2 loops, yarn over, pull through the last loops. And just want to continue this down your row, like so. And then once you get to the stitch marker, the end of the row, we're gonna put our last double crochet, and we're going to want to chain up 2. Sorry. My last one now. Go into that stitch marker stitch, putting your last double crochet. This is what 2 rows of double crochet looks like. And we're gonna want to chain 2 for turning, turn our work, and again yarn over and go into the stitch that we just chained up 2 from. Okay, go into there and put another double crochet, and then just take this stitch marker off and put it here. Or if you guys have more than, like, you guys have a lot of stitch markers, you can just put a new one there. Whichever one, it doesn't really matter. But yeah, you're gonna want to continue your double crochets until your desired length. Sorry, I just pushed the camera back. So yeah, you're gonna want to continue your double crochets until you reach your desired length. But I'm just gonna go until I reach my 3rd row, and then I'm gonna show you guys another tip that I have. So I'm coming up on the last stitch in the 5th row. So, but I want to show you guys the importance of these stitch markers. So I know this is the last stitch I have to put in this row because the stitch marker is there. This stitch marker is the one that I put on the 1st row, the first stitch in the last row. So that'd be the first one. That would be the last one I put into this row. Hold on, hold on. Sorry. Let's do that one more time. Yarn over, go into the stitch, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. And anyways, so now, but the point is that because if you didn't have that stitch marker, possibly would have worked into these chain 2 right here. So 1, 2, these are the chains, but because as I said, the chain 2 don't kind of get sticks, so you're not going to work into them when you're reaching the end of your row. So I just going to want to chain 2, and again just go into the same stitch that you just chained 2 from, and continue the rest of your row as normal. So just make sure that you put the stitch marker on the first stitch of every row that you do. So because I said the first stitch of every row, I'm going to want to take this off and put it onto the stitch, on this new stitch I just made, because it's the first stitch of my 6th row. But I'm just going to come back when I've completed 6 rows of double crochet. So I just finished my 6th row of double crochets, and this is how it looks like. And I'm gonna show you guys a tip on how to make your double crochet edges and triple crochet edges a bit shorter, as this is a bit jagged. And there's a couple ways to fix this, and I'll show you guys how to do that in another video. But now that we've done our double crochets, we're gonna move on to our last stitch, which is gonna be triple crochets. For our triple crochet, I'm gonna start out with a chain of 7 actually this time, because the turning chain that we're going to do for triple crochet is going to count as a stitch. So in actuality, we're going to have 8 stitches. So we're going to start with 7 stitches first. And you're going to want to chain 3 for turning. And then this chain 3 that we just did is going to count as a stitch. And it will be our first stitch in the row. So we're going to put a stitch marker on this third chain that we just did. Just to remember that that's going to be our last stitch that we're going to go into for our next row. So now you're going to want to start a triple crochet. You're going to want to yarn over twice. Okay, so that's 1, 2, and you want to go into the 3rd chain from your hook, the 4th chain from your hook. So 1, so this 3 chains is going to count as the first stitch. So 1, 2, 3, that's the first stitch. And want to go into the 4th stitch now. Want to yarn over again, so it looks like this. Pull up a loop, yarn over again, pull through the next 2 loops, yarn over again and pull through the next 2 loops, yarn over again and pull through the last 2 loops. Okay, so now it looks like this. So that's our first stitch and our second stitch. And you just want to continue this down your row, yarn over twice, remember that. Go into the next stitch, the top loop, yarn over, pull up a loop, just do the first loop, yarn over, pull through 2 loops, yarn over, pull through 2 loops, yarn over, pull through the last 2 loops, and now we have 3 stitches done. So now you're going to continue that down the row, yarning over twice, going into the stitch, yarn over again, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, and you just want to continue this down your row. And I will come back when I'm about to do my last stitch in the row. So I'm coming up to the last chain. I'm going to yarn over twice, go into the chain, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2 loops, yarn over, pull through 2 loops, and yarn over to the last 2 loops. And this is what it looks like for our first row. And also, I'd like to say that the triple crochet is not as common as the other stitches that I showed you guys before, but it's still a good stitch to know because it can be used for different stuff like a mesh stitch and stuff like that. I don't use it as mesh because it does have create a lot of holes, but it's good because it works up really fast because it's so big, as you can see. So again, we're just going to want to chain 3 for our turning chain for our next row. And because this chain 3 does count as a stitch already, we're going to want to essentially just ignore this chain 3 and the first stitch in the row. Sorry, hold on. Yeah, so we're just going to want to ignore this chain 3 and this first stitch because it already counts as the first stitch in the row. And because of that, we are also going to want to put a stitch marker into that chain 3, top of the chain 3 here. Just so, because it's the first stitch in the row, and we always put a stitch marker in the first stitch in the row. So now, because we're going to ignore that, we're going to go into the second stitch in the row, yarn over twice, go into it, and do another treble crochet. And treble crochet and triple crochet are the same thing, it's just used interchangeably. So now you see that we have 2 stitches in our row. And now we're going to continue that. So now we're going to do our third one. And we're just going to continue down the rest of our row. And I come back when I'm on the last, when I have 2 more stitches to go. Just to help you guys figure out what's going on with the chain and this stitch right here. So I am coming up on my second last stitch for the row. So this would be, as you can see, let me just count this for you guys. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And because I started off the beginning, the first row had 8 stitches, and I want to be consistent, we're going to need to have 8 stitches in this row. So this would be the first triple crochet we actually did in the last row. So technically our second stitch in the last row. So that'd be our second last stitch in this row. So we're going to work a triple crochet into there. Okay. And then this right here is the top of the chain 3 that we did, which counts as the first stitch. So we're also going to go into that chain 3. Remember this because the chain 3 counts as a stitch. Sorry. Let me just take off this stitch marker really quick. Yeah. So make sure you go into the top of the chain 3. It's kind of hard, but just make sure you go into it like that. Okay, so that's the top of our chain 3. So that'll be the chain 1, chain 2, and then now our chain 3. From the last row, we're gonna, oh, I don't think I yarned over twice. Sorry about that. Yarn over twice. Go into the top of the chain 3. Like that. Make sure you pick up both loops. And we're just gonna do another triple crochet. And that is our second row of triple crochets done. And we're gonna chain 3, turn our work, put a stitch marker in the top of the chain 3, stitch marker on the top of the chain 3. We're going to ignore this first stitch here, yarn over twice, and go into the second stitch instead, because that chain 3 already accounts for that first stitch. And we're just going to continue that like normal, and remember to go to the top of the chain 3 right here for your last stitch. And every single row you do your triple crochets in, and I'll come back when I've done 6 rows of triple crochets. So I just finished my 6 rows of triple crocheting. This is what it looks like. It's really big compared to all the other stitches, and so that means if you use it for any type of project, it would work up really fast. And I would recommend for any type of project that involves mesh, like a mesh tank top or such. But this is the end of the video. I hope you guys were able to learn some crochet stitches with me. And if you have any questions, just comment below and I'll help you out. I will be posting some more crochet videos to help you guys throughout your journey. But this is it for today. Thank you for watching and see you next time.